I talked about this a little while back, shortly after attending the U.S. National Championship for alphaclash down in Des Moines, Iowa. The little indie that could has made a significant impact on me, from gameplay and design to community to direct communication with the people responsible for making this incredible game. My wife would tell you that alphaclash is the game that I won't shut up about, and there's a good reason for this. I think that the indie comic book trading card game isn't really the proper moniker to describe what alphaclash really is. Now, I'm not arguing with Rising Empire Studios, but a passion project from the team that has spawned 5 sets of a card game, soon to be 6, a miniatures game coming out later this year called Cosmic Conquest, 1 novel, 2 comics, including 1 forthcoming, and a fan base that is invested in the future of the game by supporting all lines of interaction has definitely got the indie vibe. But I think the comparison I would make here is that alphaclash feels more like a mom and pop local shop than a company trying to make as much money as it can from a small IP. Now, why does any of this matter? Well, today I have the incredible opportunity to crack open Rising Empire Studios' new PvE product, Siege of the Forgotten, a brand new way to play alphaclash together with friends or alone against the powerful foes set on making a name for itself. HARK, I am proud to be here today to take a look at this new product that soon you too will be able to acquire, first at Gen Con within the next week, and then at a champion store near you that supports alphaclash, or through Team Covenant, a company that has supported alphaclash right from the start. I'm going to crack this bad boy open right up here using this top-down camera that you can't see, and we'll talk all about what's inside, the major foe of PvE, Lord Krung, and how PvE plays compared to the standard gameplay modes for alphaclash. I'm going to go ahead and kill my face cam for this just because nobody really cares. Y'all want to see the product, this lovely mat that's associated with Siege of the Forgotten. I want to give a huge shout out to Ridge, Garrett, and the rest of the team at Rising Empire Studios for bringing in somebody who is brand new to the content creation scene for alphaclash, basically brand new to this game. I picked it up a little bit right when it started with Set 1 Awakening, but I didn't really jump into it until well after Equilibrium had dropped. Showed up at their national championship to just hang out, drove 4 hours to do so. This team is absolutely incredible, more than, you know, willing to help get any type of community started for this game because it's a product they believe in. And nothing says that more than this guy right here, Siege of the Forgotten, the new PvE player experience that you can see here. It says 1 to 5 player cooperative experience. You can play this by yourself, you can play this with a bunch of friends. You can play, I believe you can play this in a format where it's one person controls Krung and his minions and the other players try to fight him. But it says here, New York City is under siege. From the tunnels below to the streets above, Lord Krung and his army of discarded monstrosities are flooding through the portal, leaving nothing but chaos in their wake. Whether you take the challenge solo or with a team of friends, you'll fight through relentless waves of enemies, battling your way to Krung himself. Want an even greater test? Let another player control the boss and turn the tide against you. The invasion has begun. Are you ready to fight back? So, with the story bit contained here, I'm going to go ahead and read off what this box actually contains. We have 2 oversized double-sided boss cards, a 50-card boss deck, a 34-card minion deck, a 20-card event deck, 4 focus tokens, 5 spoils of the Forgotten packs, and 1 rule book, plus some other stuff, barcodes, companies, insignias, stuff like that. So let's crack this puppy open. I already cut the bottom of it, so that way it should be easier to actually get into. I changed up my camera focus, so I should only focus when I really want it to, which is basically me doing it manually. So we have this lovely hard shell covered box. It reminds me a lot of old VCR tapes and stuff like that, but it also reminds me of the World of Warcraft raid decks, which is a great feeling to have here. Love this art here. It's also on the mat. You could also see the mat itself has, you can't see the bottom part, but it has Event Oblivion. So it's your discard, event deck, events, the minion zone at the bottom here. We have the ambush zone, boss zone, minion oblivion, discard, minion deck. So the backside of this has a different version of Lord Krung, which is awesome. And then we're gonna, ooh, that's a cool way for it to be open and presented and stuff like this. So we have more than 2. We have several little decks of cards here. We have an event deck, we have a minion deck. So you can kind of see what we're going about there. We'll crack those open here in just a second. Whoops. We have the boss deck. Ooh, it's even got little pluses on the back. That's pretty interesting. And then we have in this side here, the official rules. Let's see if I can get this out without damaging anything. Yeah, there we go. Whoops. So this is the official rule book, which we're not going to go over every little thing, but I will try to give a summation of what is actually in this thing. Props to all the people who worked in game design, producers, marketing directors, artists, box art, the graphic design, and the play testers. You all rock. We have the table of contents, which showcases what each of these pieces of things are going to be, and then a showcase of how, setting overview, all that other stuff. Ooh, we've got a little comic in here too. We've got a heroic encounter, which shows 1 to 4 players test themselves against a player-driven boss encounter, which there's more comic stuff. We have the components showing us what each thing is. Then we have a description of what's all in here, the classic encounter deck, classic encounter setup, which I believe this is the going up against the actual like game run version of it. So that's pretty cool. Phase, heroic encounter setup, heroic encounter gameplay, the Colossal encounter, which utilizes red text on cards. We'll go through those when we see some stuff. An index of abilities, and then, ooh, here's a preview of somebody interesting. It's my favorite character in the entire stuff. So here we have the Portal. This is one contender. This is one of our bosses. It says Portal boss on the back, on the bottom there. But then we have Lord Krung, also a contender. And then we have these lovely little things in here. These are Spoils of the Forgotten. These are very similar to the treasure packs that used to come with the dungeon and raid decks in World of Warcraft. But with alphaclash here, these are 5 cards in a pack that can be used. You can just open them up, do whatever you want with them. They can also be used as rewards for events that run PvE or even just regular gameplay. Don't be surprised if you start seeing these given out as your participation packs or winners packs for your local events at your champion store or otherwise. But you can use these. There's PvP cards in here. There's PvE helpful cards in here. Lots of cool stuff. There's a couple of fun magnate cards in here that we've seen already that are really cool. But let's set this guy aside here. We are not going to open these in this video today. What I'm actually going to do is I will open one Spoils the Forgotten pack at the end, and then I'm actually going to save some of these to open with people at 2DCon out here in Minnesota. If you know what that is and you're going to be there, I'm going to be teaching alphaclash to players coming through and giving out some goodies. So we'll see what ends up happening with some of these and just showcasing with some people what the rewards are for Spoils of the Forgotten. But we will open one of these towards the end of this video. So let's take a look at the boss cards themselves. Let's open this without breaking anything. So each of our boss cards is double-sided. We have the Portal collapsing and Lord Krung, and then the flip sides of each of them are the Portal and Lord Krung engaged. So these have different effects based upon what you do. Let's take a look at Lord Krung. Lord Krung has a specific variety of health pools depending on how many players are in the game. So we've got 30 health for a solo game, 45 health for 2 players, 60 health for 3 players, and 75 health for 4 players going up. At the end of the boss ready step, if Lord Krung has 5 or more boss counters, remove 5 counters from Lord Krung and flip his card. When Lord Krung flips to this side, play a card from the top of the Minion deck for each opponent. Minions in play get +1 attack and +1 defense, and attack the contender of the opponent with the Focus. At the start of each opponent's turn, put a boss counter on Lord Krung. Trigger attack. Lord Krung gets +3/+0 until the end of the turn and attacks the contender with the Focus. Prevent all clash damage dealt to Lord Krung while attacking. Nasty. And then there is a thing here on the bottom that says Lord Krung can't be obstructed and his health cannot be reduced below 1. And I believe that's while the portal is open. So in the index here, we do have an indication here that it says that effect is active as long as the portal is open. And this little, you can't really see it as well, but there's that symbol there. As long as the portal is closed. And then we have a skull that's in effect as long as an elite card is in play, and then a shield as long as a guard card is in play. There's also a red breakthrough thing here. When you go into the more difficult versions of the game, you will be dealing with red text here, and every card that has red text will add the red text to it. Krung's an elite boss. He's got 1 attack, 1 defense, and he is of the discarded affiliation. On the flip side, same amount of health. At the start of the boss turn, flip Lord Krung engaged. Minions in play get +3 attack and +3 defense and attack the opponent's contender with the lowest health. Trigger attack, Lord Krung engaged gets +5/+0 and attacks the contender of the opponent with the Focus. Prevent all clash damage dealt to Lord Krung engaged while attacking. So if he's attacking you, he's not taking damage back. And then while the portal is open, Lord Krung engaged can't be obstructed and his health cannot be reduced below 1. He has 3 attack natively, 0 defense, and a red breakthrough. Now, let's take a look at the portal. The portal itself has 15 health with 1 person, 25 health with 2, 35 health with 3, and 45 health with 4 people. Minion cards in play can only have their attack and defense reduced by targeted effects, so no blanketed effects while this side is up. At the start of the boss ready step, play the top card of the minion deck, put the leading card in the ambush zone into play, and put a boss counter on the active boss. Minions attack the contender of the opponent with the focus. So the focus is going to be generated by different cards to give to specific players that's going to force these things to attack you. At the start of the opponent's turn, set the top card of the minion deck into the ambush zone. The leading minion in the ambush zone obstructs the first attack each turn if able. When the portal has 7 boss counters on it, or is defeated, put the Lord Krung boss into play as the active boss, then all minions in the ambush zone into play. When the portal is defeated, flip it. So it looks like you'll be starting with the portal, and then once that's defeated, it'll put Lord Krung into play, and then the portal collapsing will flip over. The portal itself has 1 defense. While the portal is open, minion cards in play can only have their attack and defense reduced by targeted effects. So again, no blanket reduction of attack and defense. At the start of the boss turn, any opponent may engage a resource for each opponent of the boss. If they do, the portal is closed until the start of the next boss turn. At the end of the boss ready step, play the top card of the minion deck. Put all minion cards in the ambush zone into play and put a boss counter on the active boss. Then moves the focus to the next opponent. At the start of the opponent's turn, set the top card of the minion deck into the ambush zone. While the portal is open, the leading minion in the ambush zone obstructs the first attack each turn if able. So there you go. That's these are your boss cards. You have your boss zones set up and ready to go, which is a bunch of really cool stuff. We are going to go ahead and crack open. We're not going to take a look at everything because what I would like to do in a future video is try a solo variant of this after reading the rules completely, and then I can describe a couple of different things. So let's take a look at the minion deck. So first things first, we have focus. At the start of the boss turn, give the focus to the player to your right. When your contender is targeted by a clash buff, at the end of the clash, give the focus to the player to your right. At the end of your turn, ready 2 resources. When the portal is closed, flip this card. If you control the focus when your contender is defeated, give the focus to the player to your right. And then it says the same thing. So let's take a look at some of these minions in the minion deck. First off, we've got a Burly Enforcer. So this guy's got Breakthrough, which means if he overwhelms your defense, he'll deal damage directly to your contender if he's attacking a clash card. He's got 1 attack, 5 defense. He's got a Trigger Attack. This card gets +X+0, where X is equal to the number of resources the defending player controls. So later on in the game, this Burly Enforcer is going to become a problem in terms of attacks. Next, we have Creature of the Collective. When this card is sent to the Oblivion by an opponent's card effect, that opponent sends a non-token card they control to Oblivion. Yes, while an elite card is in play, this card gets +X+X, where X is equal to the number of minion cards in play with different names. And then if you're playing on one of the hard modes, when this card is defeated or sent to the Oblivion by an opponent's card effect, each opponent sends a non-token card they control to Oblivion. This has got 2 power and 2 defense. So this can be potentially nasty if you send it to Oblivion, discard, whatever, by an effect rather than attacking into it. So be aware of that as you're fighting the creatures of the collective. Let's see, we have a Dauntless Defiler. This thing is daunting. This card must be the target of attacks and may be attacked as though it were engaged. So this is kind of like the taunt guarding style card that you have that's in there. If there's an elite on the board, trigger defeat the player with the most non-token accessory sends an accessory they control to Oblivion. On hard mode, when this card is revealed from the ambush zone, it gets +0/+X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of opponents. So that can be pretty nasty. It is a 2/3. These are all clash cards, so they can be affected as if they were clash cards because they are clash cards. We have a lot of Dauntless Defenders in here. What about Necrotic Fodder? This is necrotic, so if this deals damage to a clash card, that clash card is defeated. While an elite is in play, this has Brutal 2. When this card deals clash damage to a contender, it deals 2 additional clash damage to that contender. So make sure this isn't hitting your contender. And then on hard mode, when this card is revealed from the ambush zone, it can't be defeated this turn and gets Safeguard until the start of the next boss turn, which means it cannot be targeted by effects. This is 1 attack and 3 defense. We've got a big stack of those. And then we have a Scaled Lurker. I love the designs of these cards. They're really cool. While the portal is open, this card cannot be dealt non-clash damage. So you can still clash it, but you can't do things like Solar Smash or Here Comes the Boom. This card gets +X +0. X is the number of opponents. Starts off as a 1/2, but because there's always at least one player on the board, it's at least a 2/2. So we got a couple of those. We have Tormentor of the Legions, which has Torment. I actually don't remember what that rule does. I'll put it on the screen here in post, so that way you guys can see what that says. This card can only be attacked by clash cards if it has an action card attached. Interesting. If there's an elite on the board, it has Safeguard, which means it can't be targeted. And then if the portal is open, it has Brutal 3. So if it deals damage to a contender, it will deal 3 additional damage. And if the portal is closed, it has Super Speed. Those last 2 effects are the hard difficulty. 3 attack, 2 defense. Easy to kill, but it does a lot of damage. Ooh, here we have a named discarded named Rizlak. Trigger, enter, put a reinforcer in the event Oblivion on top of the event deck. I wonder what that does. While the boss controls an event, whenever an opponent defeats or sends a minion to Oblivion, that player discards a card. And then in hard mode, while an event is in play, opponents may not play Clash Grounds. Yikes, those are pretty strong. 5 attack, 3 defense. We have Trug here, another named discarded. Trigger, enter, send a guard minion to the Oblivion. If a minion isn't sent to Oblivion this way, each opponent exhausts a clash card they control. At the start of the boss turn, while the hard mode is active, the active boss gains 1 health for each opponent. 3 attack, 5 defense. This is one of our elites. We have another elite here. Morak was another elite that I missed earlier. We have Gur, also an elite. And then I'm checking to see if I have any guards in here. No guards in the other pile of stuff, but here we go. We have Guardian of the Portal. While the portal is open, this card can't attack. Trigger, defeat. A player of the opponent's choice draws a card. The active boss gets -0, -1 until the start of the next boss turn. And while an elite is on the board, when this card is defeated, each opposing contender gains a health. And then on hard mode, when this card leaves play, put the leading card in the ambush zone into play. 1 power, or 1 attack, 3 defense. I'm used to saying Star Wars stuff, and there's 4 of those guys in there. So we've got 4 guards and 4 elites, which are pretty cool there, but ultimately not a whole lot in terms of what we're dealing with. So a lot of what our power is probably looking like to come from is going to be the boss deck and the event deck. So let's take a look at the event deck. I'm not going to go through every single one of these cards, but we are going to try to give you guys enough of an idea of what you're going to be experiencing going on in the next into combat here. So we have all for 1 and 1 for minions in the ambush zone obstruct for minion cards in play without limit, in addition to obstructing for the boss once per turn. When this card leaves play, set the top card of the minion deck into the ambush zone. And then on hard mode, if there's a guard in play, at the start of each opponent's turn, put the top card of the minion Oblivion into play. So this is going to be bringing things back. There's a 2 value on the bottom right-hand corner of these. I'm not unfortunately sure what that specifically does, but this is a clash ground. And it does look like there's quite a few things in here that have number values, but I'm not, unfortunately, skimming through the book, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but if I figure it out, I'll put it on the screen right here. So next we have another Clash Ground Cutoff 1 head. The first time a minion is defeated each turn, put the top card of the minion deck into play. And then if there's a guard in play in elite mode, whatever we want to call it, colossal mode, the first time a minion is defeated each turn, the opponent that defeated it draws a card. We have Defending the Portal. We have more Clash Grounds here. Flanking the Enemy, For Our King, Ill-Gotten Games, Krung's Arrival, 1 for 1 Seems Fair. Those are all Clash Grounds. But then we have, in the event deck, we have a Reinforcer, which I believe it was Rizlak called this card out specifically. So it is a guard. This card enters the minion zone instead of the Clash Ground zone. Trigger, enter, play an event. Trigger, defeat. A player of the opponent's choice draws a card. The active player gets, the active boss gets -0, -1 until the end of the turn. And if there's an elite in play, when this card is defeated, each opponent's contender gains a health. But in Colossal mode, when this card leaves play, put the leading card in the ambush zone into play. So we do have the ambush zone down here where a lot of your minions are going to be coming from the minion deck directly into the ambush zone. And the Reinforcer here is a 2/2 guard minion. And it looks like we've got 3 of those. So we've got some Relentless Hordes, which are more Clash Grounds. Surround Them, that's a lot of appendages. A lot of different interesting things. I don't want to spoil too much about what you're going to encounter, but this event deck is actually pretty cool. Now, let's take a look at a couple of cards here in the boss deck, and we'll see exactly what ends up happening with those. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much. I did just go through every minion, but we don't have to necessarily go through all the cards in the boss deck. But there's a lot of costs for these things, which is interesting. So we got Archaic Carnage. Search the minion deck for a Morak and put it into play. If you control a Gur, the contender of the player with the focus loses health equal to the attack power of Gur, then the boss gains that much health. That's crazy. That's just a basic action. We have a clash buff here called Bring It On. Put the leading card in the ambush zone into play. Target minion you control becomes the defender of this clash. If there's an elite, the minion defending the clash gets trigger victory. Reveal the top card of the deck. Deal damage to the target clash card equal to its initial resource cost. Then put that card into your hand. If there's a guard in play, exhaust target contender. So actually, interestingly enough, I think a lot of this boss deck is designed for the heroic setup, heroic encounter. So with the classic encounter using Event Oblivion and Event deck, Minion Oblivion and Minion deck. Unfortunately, my focus is out of focus here. I apologize. But with the heroic encounter, you've got the boss deck, Minion deck, and Event deck. So the boss deck is going to be if you want a player to play against them, and they have resources that they're going to be playing as a result of this as well. So again, I apologize for the focus. My camera is not very good. I don't make a lot of money doing this. But we don't do it for money, we do it for the love of the game, right? So this is a lot of stuff we'll actually cover. I'll cover this later in a separate video, because this is going to be for potentially putting together a person to play the portal and Krung and all of that against the opponents. So that's the lion's share of the cards that you're going to be experiencing, in the PvE form, which is quite cool. We've got this little box here that we will set up. I did say I was going to go ahead and crack open a Spoils of the Forgotten pack. So let's do that and see what we have here. I'm going to put this minion deck back into this. We're going to put these focus in here, and then we're going to put the rules and all of that together. PvP looks like a lot of fun. There is a unique sequence of ways of being able to do stuff that's in there. We'll take a look at the rules here in just a second, but let's crack open one of these lovely Spoils of the Forgotten. You can order these from your champion store or other sources, mainly your champion store, in boxes, which is pretty cool, but expect to see a lot of these used as prizing, especially, potentially, possibly at events at Gen Con. So here we go. We have Lynn locked in. This is a 3-cost, 2 blue specific. It is a clash card. Trigger attack if this card is attacking a card with a bounty card on it. So this card gets +1/+0 and super speed, which means it deals its damage before the opponent. 3 attack, 2 defense. It's a Lynn Earth card, clash, and it is a rogue. So support for the Lynn deck. We've got Discarded Mob. 1 cost, 1 blue specified clash card here. It has ambush. So it goes into your ambush zone face down, and then its counter attack will allow you to play it. And counter attack, if the portal is open, you may put this card into play from your accessory zone. If it's closed, you may pay 1 blue. If you do, put this card into play from your accessory zone. So if the portal's open, it's free. If it's closed, you got to pay its value. When another clash card enters play under your control from anywhere other than your hand, this card gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. It's got 1 attack, 2 defense. It is a mob card, and it is a clash card for the discarded. So there we go. Next, we have Streaks Assembling. This is a 1 cost, 1 blue specified trap accessory. Counter attack, remove 2 streak counters from among clash cards you control. For each counter removed this way, create a 0/1 blue alpha streak clash token with interception, which means it can block flyers. Then it gets this card's attack and defense cannot be modified, and cards cannot be attached to it. So the streaks that these things are creating are essentially going to be just blockers that'll help you survive attacks, and that's cool. And there's some other cards that also create streaks. Next, our foil card here is going to be Shadowlight Chasing Shadows. Look at that. Look at that lovely foiling there. And of course, art by the great Kyle Petrock. 2 costs, 1 black specified clash card here. Trigger defeat, you may discard a Shadowlight clash card from your hand. If you do, the next time this card enters Oblivion, put it into play. 2 power, 2 defense. It's a clash card, so if it's going to die, you can discard a Shadowlight card to basically put it back into play, which is awesome. And then we have another Shadowlight card. This one is a white one featuring art directly from the Torque Therapy comic, again by Kyle Petrock. 2 specified white, 3 total. When this card is discarded from your hand, you may pay 1 black, 1 white. If you do, put it into play instead. This card gets +X/+O for each Shadowlight in your Oblivion. 1 attack, 4 defense. It's a rare. It is also a clash card. So there's an immediate combo here. If you have Chasing Shadows and it gets defeated, you can discard the Ready for Action Shadowlight from your hand, pay the cost, and then you get 2 Shadowlight Clash cards. I'm super happy to see that these do come in foil. I'm gonna have to try to chase down the foil cards of things that I know, but here are 5 cards from the Spoils of the Forgotten set, which is really cool. You do get 5 of these packs in PvE, so you can do what you want with them, but they will be sold separately for funsies, so look forward to that. So after seeing as many of the cards as we have, let's go over the rules really quick about what a classic encounter for Siege of the Forgotten is. Each player is going to bring a 50-card deck with 1 contender. Your contender cannot be shared with any other person in the pool, so don't be trying to bring 4 of the same Harbinger into the pool thinking you're going to be able to defeat Lord Krung pretty easily. I also think that you shouldn't be allowed to play Lord Krung, but we'll bypass that. The boss is going to place the shuffled minion and event deck piles into dedicated zones, and you start the game with the portal boss card in play and not Lord Krung, because the portal boss card itself will generate Lord Krung for you to fight. You will also place a Guardian of the Portal, which we saw earlier. That was those 4 big Sentinel units. Place 1 of those into play for each player. So one for the solo experience, 2 for 2, yada yada blah blah. And you're going to set the health totals based upon the number of players on the left side of each boss card. We saw that. We know what those numbers are. Each player is going to draw their 8-card starting hand. I imagine they'll probably still be able to do the mulligan, but it does not say that in this rulebook. I would say go for it. The player to the boss is right. So if you're looking at it from the point of, like, let's say a 5-star point, the top of the star from the boss's point of view is going to generate to the right, which if you're looking at it from top down will be to the left, which is a very confusing way of putting this, but effectively player 1 is to the boss's right and things are going to go counterclockwise. Player 1 will draw a card and can attack on their first turn, which means you can go right on the offensive if you can, and player 1 starts the game by going first. The focus token will dictate who starts each turn cycle. So our first turn cycle is going to be player 1 with the focus token, player 2, player 3, player 4 if you have that many players, and then the boss. And then the boss itself will actually move the focus token from whoever it's on currently to the next person over, and that person will start the next turn cycle of the 4 players if you have 4, less if you have less, all the way up to the boss again. So there you have that. When a contender's health is reduced to 0, they're gone. The portal starts in play. Lord Krung will enter play once the game conditions have been met. The active boss is the card that starts in play. Card effects can change the active boss. So you're likely going to have the portal will start as the active boss. When Lord Krung comes into play, he will be the active boss. The portal is always considered open and can only be closed by an action noted on the portal collapsing side of the portal boss card, which means your player effects that open and close the portal cannot do so. So take advantage of the portal being open, but don't think you're going to be able to close it off just willy-nilly. Players win by reducing both boss cards' health to 0. They cannot win through alternate conditions. All players may interact during the clash phase of a defending player as if it were their own. I believe this means you can potentially play clash cards or clash buffs as part of a defense thing if you have to be able to do so. Allied players do share a clash zone, so clash cards with exclusive apply to all players. So don't double up on cards that are really good that are exclusive, because that means only one person is going to be able to utilize those. Events under the boss's control can only be replaced by clash grounds of an equal or higher initial resource cost. So that is that number that was on the bottom right-hand bottom right-hand corner of the card, as it were. That means that one of those clash grounds with a 1 can only be replaced by 1 or higher, 2 for 2 or higher, 3 for 3 or higher, yada yada blah blah. Events are immune to effects that try to negate or modify them, or the effects that they generate. Minions played from the minion deck do not have a characteristic for resource cost, so anything that would target based upon a resource cost does not target the minions. No resource cost is not the same thing as 0 resource cost. Minions obstruct from the ambush zone and only obstruct the first attack each turn that can be obstructed. Keyword abilities do not prevent a card from being obstructed. A card with flight can be obstructed by a minion in the ambush zone, so keep that in mind as you're going to be playing against the PvE mode. The leading minion card implies the minion that has seniority in the zone. The first minion set in the zone is the first to obstruct. Minions in play cannot obstruct and can only attack contenders unless otherwise stated. That's specifically only contenders, so it still obviously will obstruct the first clash card that attacks in any given turn, but they cannot obstruct contenders and they won't attack contenders unless their effects say otherwise, usually the contender with the focus token. One fun thing to note about that is if you have a contender that deals with attacking as a contender by itself, you can bypass all of those minions and not have to worry about too much other than them, you know, beating down your throat for stuff. The maximum number of face down minions allowed in the ambush zone is equal to the number of players plus 1. So 1 player will generate 2, 2, 3, all the way up to 4 players generate 5 face down ambush minions. If the minion deck has no cards remaining, shuffle the minion Oblivion and set up the new deck. Minion and event Oblivions are not eligible targets for opposing players to target to interact with, so don't do any of those. A player may only counterplay effects against the boss when the effect resolving specifies a card type played. Otherwise, the effects will stay put. Effects that would stop minions or bosses from attacking will only prevent the current or next attack, and minions cannot be prevented from attacking. So keep that in mind. Minions in the ambush zone cannot be removed by card effects from opposing players, so it's a little protection area, but things that are in the minion zone can. Boss cards cannot be played, put into player control by opposing players. Boss cards cannot enter opposing player zones. If a player controls the focus when their contender is defeated, the player to the right gains the focus. And then our boss sequence is start of the boss turn, you're going to resolve any ongoing effects or triggers. These resolve in the following order of boss, minion, and event, so keep that in mind as you're doing your calculations on what the boss is going to be doing in their turn. Place the top card of the minion deck and the leading minion from the ambush zone into the clash zone face up, and furthest to the right from your point of view will be to the left. Move the focus token from the current contender to the next contender immediately to the right. That's at the start of the boss turn, so that's how the focus will move around, unless an effect says otherwise. The ready step will ready all encounter cards the encounter controls in play. The event step sends the current event into the event Oblivion. Those are those clash grounds, if there is one. And then you put the top card of the event deck into the event zone and send any other clash ground to its owner's Oblivion. So don't count on your clash ground sticking around for too long. Keep that in mind when you're building your decks. Minions attack the contender with the focus unless otherwise instructed by an event or effect during the minion clash phase. So we have the boss clash phase, which the boss attacks the contender with the focus unless otherwise instructed. And then at the end of the boss turn, you resolve remaining effects or conditions that trigger at the end of the turn until all end of turn effects. And I did that much faster than in the last one where I forgot my mic was muted. There you go. This is probably not what you were expecting out of a Siege of the Forgotten video. I will actually do a video of gameplay of Siege of the Forgotten. I don't really have the equipment to be able to do this the way that I would love to be able to get it done. As of recording, this is before my big trip to Las Vegas for the Star Wars Unlimited Championship. You're watching this while I'm there. Hopefully next week I will be able to get out a video that showcases the Siege of the Forgotten, even if it's just 1 or 2 rounds of what you're going to see as a solo experience and potentially what you're going to see as a larger experience. So look forward to that coming in the near future. I want to thank Rising Empire Studios one more time for all of this amazing stuff, the opportunity to check out Siege of the Forgotten before the official release of it. If you're at Gen Con, please go check them out. They're an awesome group of people that's going to do a lot of fun stuff that's associated with Alpha Clash. I will be running demos for Alpha Clash at 2D Con here in Minnesota on August 22nd through 24th. If you're in the area or you're planning on going, please come check us out in the gaming area. I believe that's where our booth will be. I will have Clash decks to give out to people that don't have any cards, some stuff they can try out. I'll have Clash decks that people can play for demos there. I'll have a 2-player mat that we'll be able to check out, some banners, some cool stuff. I'll have packs to give away for people that want to participate, and a lot of fun stuff because I really would love to build this community out here in Minnesota. There's a small group of us. I'd love to make it a lot larger so we can potentially start putting out our own awesome events for Alpha Clash, because this is a really fun game. The passion of the people that make the game has put some passion into me to want to potentially come out of a retirement for event running. So there it is. Thank you once again, Rising Empire Studios, Ridge, Garrett, the rest of the team, all the artists, all the play testers, all the game designers. You were all amazing. I love everything about this. This is a long video, so we're going to go ahead and cut it here. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you. If I got anything wrong and you're a member of the Alpha Clash community, you could correct me. Please do so in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite part of PvE is, what your favorite part of Alpha Clash is, who your favorite contender is, because those are pretty cool things to talk about in the comments of this specific video. Look forward to the gameplay example for Siege of the Forgotten here probably next week. Subscribe to this channel for all of your card gaming needs, at least for card games that I cover. I want to do a lot more Alpha Clash content. I just need to take the time to do so. And there's some stuff coming up that's going to allow me to switch, but also restrict what I can and can't do for content creation. So that'll be interesting there. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. It was all over the place. There's only so much I can do, but you being here, watching this, the support from the company, the support from you for Alpha Clash, what I love to see. Because honestly, playing games is the fun part, and we should be playing a lot more games. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you in the next one. And I don't have a closing Alpha Clash thing, so I will see you in the Clash.